Today's episode of Ham Radio 2.0 is brought to you by Gifts for Hams. Find their website at www.gifts4hams.com. Get your call sign or club logo engraved on virtually anything you want. Specializing in ham radio related gift ideas, Gifts for Hams is your one-stop shop for lighted call sign displays, coffee mugs, coasters, drinking glasses, smartphone cases, and so much more. Laser engraving and etching to show off your ham radio call sign or club. Shop gifts4hams.com and tell them that Ham Radio 2.0 sent you. Hey folks, good afternoon. This is Jason at Ham Radio 2.0. I want to tell you about a new GoFundMe account I've set up to finance my trip to Dayton Hamvention 2017. Now, I know some of you have said that I should just finance the show myself, but most of you have been very generous in donations to the show. I've got several PayPal subscriptions set up for different viewers, and I've received donations from people at Hamfests. So it's never an easy thing to ask for money, but it does require money to make the videos that I make, both for equipment and in the case of Dayton Hamvention for travel expenses. So I've set up a GoFundMe account. You can see the link at the bottom of this video below. And I've put a very conservative amount of $1,500 for the Dayton Hamvention. This will pay for my airfare for 3 nights in a hotel, and it will help pay for the vendor booth that I'm going to purchase. Dayton charges a premium for their vendor booths because they're the biggest hamfest in the nation. Why couldn't they? Why shouldn't they? You know, people pay it because there's thousands and thousands of people there. They do give a small break to non-commercial folks like media folks and ARRL people and clubs and whatnot. So I'm waiting to see. They haven't published the rate for the non-commercial rate yet. So I'm waiting to see what that would be. But it's going to be a few $100, $200, $300, $400, somewhere in that neck of the woods. I don't know how much exactly yet. So the GoFundMe money that I am requesting will go to airfare, which I've already purchased my airfare. So it'll go to reimburse me to purchase the airfare, hotel stays, of course meals, and mostly the booth information at the Hamfest, the booth rental at the Hamfest. So thank you for your continued support. You're going to see much more episodes coming up in the future, similar to the episodes I'm going to do at Dayton Hamvention. What I want to do is set up a booth and have people come by the booth and just, sit down and talk into the microphone for 5 or 10 minutes and just talk about what you do in amateur radio, how many times you've been to Dayton, what's your specialty, and just anything you want to talk about as far as ham radio goes, especially if it's something new in ham radio. Going to do some interviews with some of the vendors that are there. I'm looking forward to that. Go back and watch my episodes 81 and 82 and 83 from the 2017 Orlando Hamcation. You'll be able to see exactly what I want to do at Dayton. So 73 guys, and thank you for your contribution. Ham Radio 2.0, episode 86. 86. Comparing the two RFinder devices. So, this episode I should have shot a long time ago, and I didn't because this one, which is the new guy, had a problem with it. Now, and the problem basically was that the screen wouldn't wake up. Had absolutely nothing to do with the two-way radio, nothing to do with the RFinder app. It's that you'd pick up the phone, you'd be using your phone, you put it down, it would go to sleep, or the screen would turn off like it's supposed to do, and then you'd pick it up and you'd hit the button to turn the screen on again, it wouldn't turn on. Sometimes the phone would ring, and I'd hear it ringing, I'd pick it up, and the screen would stay black. You tap it, you press the button on the side, it wouldn't. You press the push-to-talk button, it wouldn't wake up. The only way to wake it up is pull the battery out, put it back in, then it reboots. So that was an issue for a short while, but one that was pretty quickly resolved. I reported it to Bob W2CYK. He's the president, CEO, owner, whatever, of RFinder. You saw Bob on a previous episode where I did an interview with him. Going to be doing another interview with Bob upcoming, so look forward to that. We're going to talk about some of the new products he's got. But I reported the issue with the M1 to Bob, and he's like, you know, I've had one or two other reports of that. He said, I should have a fix for you next week. And it was literally a week later, and he had it fixed. So here is the reason why you should buy your equipment from a U.S. vendor, okay? Doesn't necessarily have to be made in the USA, although if you can find something that's made in the USA, buy that. You know, TN07's made in the USA, Buddy Pole's made in the USA, L&R Precision is made in the USA, Elecraft is made in the USA. RFinder is not. RFinder, Connect Systems, TYT, of course, TYT, Bofang, Waxon, those guys are all made in China. And if you buy from a vendor in the U.S., then you might have a little bit of support as far as exchanges if something goes wrong with it. If you buy it on Amazon, you're kind of out of luck. But Connect Systems and RFinder, unlike buying directly from TYT or somebody, Connect Systems and RFinder, they stand behind their product very, very well. It's no problem to send an email or give a phone call to the RFinder guys and say, hey, this is the issue I'm having. If they haven't heard about it, they'll document it. If they have heard about it, then they'll tell you how they're planning on fixing it. So I have yet to report a bug that they have not heard about. Put it that way. And I've got one of the first devices. There was 40 of these available when this first dropped. I got I think I was the third or the fourth order out of 40. They sold out in like a week. I don't remember how many of those were available, but I think I had like the fifth or the sixth one that he had on the website at the time, something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. So I've had this for a while, and I used it, and I reported the issue, and then I took my SIM card out of it and put it in my other phone and used that, and then he fixed the issue. And it took me about, I don't know, it took me like a week to put my SIM card back in this and start using it again because I'd already wiped it. I was going to send it back to him. In fact, I was going to give it back to him at the Orlando Hamcation. And at the Orlando Hamcation is when he told me, you'll have a fix on Monday, and I did. So, and it's worked great ever since. No problems with the screen issue since then. Almost, oh, see, there you go. This table right here is not very stable. But if you look at the two devices, you'll notice that the M1, this is the M1, the little bit smaller one, and it's got this antenna in the center of it, in the top of it. This one's got a bigger antenna over on the side of it. It is smaller. It just came on. Let's see. There's both of them on right there. So it's a little bit smaller. The screen size is actually a touch bigger. It's a little bit wider on the M1 than it is the actual usable screen area on the phone. It's a little bit wider on the M1. I thought it was going to be a lot bigger. It's not. It's a little bit wider and a little bit taller. But the case on the radio, on the phone, is smaller than the H1. The only thing well, there's two things I didn't like about this H1. Number one, it's really big and bulky, which is not a problem, I guess. It's just everywhere you go, you pull this thing out of your pocket and start typing on your phone, and people are like, what in the world is that thing? You know, so it's definitely a conversation piece wherever you go. The M1, I still get that on the M1, but not as much because this thing's just so big. The main thing I didn't like about this one was that the memory management on it was pretty poor. I had 9 gigs of internal memory in this phone, which runs Android 5, and I couldn't tap into it. It filled up. It had like 400 megs or maybe 600 megs allocated to application memory, and then it had 9 gigs allocated to using your internal memory for phone pictures, videos, and downloaded documents and whatnot. And if you put a 32 meg micro SD card in it, it would add to your internal memory for pictures and videos, but it wouldn't let you allocate any more of that memory to apps. So I ran out of space on apps for this phone real quick. Again, absolutely nothing to do with the RFinder piece of it, nothing to do with the performance of the two-way radio. It's just if you're going to carry this as your daily phone, I hope you don't want many apps, or at the very least you can figure out. I think you can do it by hacking. You can go and root the phone, and you can make it take. You can reallocate your memory that way. I just didn't want to do that. This one runs Android 6, and Android 6 has better memory allocation already. It will let you add your micro SD card, and once you put it in, it says, do you want to have a separate partition for the SD card, or do you want to add it to the internal memory, in which case it'll allow you to install applications on it, which is what I chose to do. I've got every app I ever want on this one, and much, much, much more free space than I ever had on this one. So that's the main difference between the two. This one right here, the H1 has 2 knobs on the top of it. The M1 has 1 knob on the top of it. This is a channel selector knob, and it will work for your volume sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. Depends on which app you're in. If you're in the RFinder app, it doesn't seem to work the volume very well. You'll turn it and it'll say, please open PTT, and PTT is the name of the app that's installed on the Runbow device by default that you can go in and program memory channels into. This one has both a volume knob here and a channel selector knob, and if you're talking on the phone, you want to turn your volume up and down, you can use that here. You're talking on the radio, you can turn your volume up and down, you can use that here. So the volume control on this is much easier. This one does have a volume control on the screen. If you go here and open it up just like that, and then you want to go volume control, you hit this button at the right, and it drops down your volume. You can control volume on multiple things from there. So it has volume control, it's just not a physical button on the top, or physical knob on the top. It also has, if you want to, let me zoom in real quick on this. Now, I asked Bob about this, and he said that this is not unwaterproof. This right here, it looks like there's a cover missing. It comes that way. This is where your charging cable plugs into when you put it on the when you need to charge the battery. That's where it connects to right there. And it's got a little threaded hole underneath it where you can attach something, maybe your microphone, maybe an external mic. I know he's been working on an external mic for some of these devices. Maybe, I don't know, something. But he says that behind there is waterproof. I haven't tested it. I don't want to drop it in a bucket of water. But according to Bob, that part's still waterproof, just like the rest of the phone is. This one has, the H1 has a larger battery, but honestly, I haven't really noticed. The batteries on these things do not run down very quickly. This is such a large battery on this. I actually bought a second battery for this when I bought this phone, and I've never used it because I've never had the need for it. This is a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, and I think that one is like a 5,000 or 5,500. The battery's accessed via the, this one actually slides off the back like I just did. I turn it back on, hold that button down, it comes up and it tells you, make sure your SIM card's cover is covered up correctly to make it waterproof. And then it comes up with the RFinder logo like that. And then it'll ask for my pattern here in a second, and then it'll go through a reboot process after I put my pattern into it. Same thing with this one. Boots up the same way. The battery on this one is in this little door down here at the bottom. Pull this tab out. That's your battery on this one. And it is 5,200 milliamps. So it's a smaller capacity battery, but I don't think I've ever run the battery down on either one of these phones. It is booted up here. Yep, same thing. And it's still going through the boot here. 5,200 milliamp hours that's a pretty good battery life on whichever phone you're most. I mean, I think my see this. Okay, this one's ready. There's that. Checking my pattern, and then it goes into an Android boot screen like that. It's kind of slow booting up, but I mean, I never reboot my phone, so who cares? But this one is this one here is a great device. The camera on both of them, the Runbow camera, I didn't care for. I just found another camera app on the Google Play Store and installed it, and that's what I use. So I didn't care for the camera on either one, but the quality of the camera, the hardware in the camera is pretty good. It's just I didn't like the app itself. Here's this one. I think this one boots up a little bit faster too. Anyway, that's the two devices there. I definitely like this one better, but there's nothing wrong with this one except for the app management part of it, or the memory management rather part of it. It was fine. This one has a PTT right here, and it has a second PTT down here, which this one has also. I programmed this second PTT here to use with my Zello app. So that's kind of neat. This red button up at the top here, haven't figured out what that does yet. It doesn't do anything. I think you can program it to do different things, but so far it does nothing. So let's do, when this boots up, I'm going to let that finish booting, and then I will key up my open spot inside, see if I can find anybody online. If you've not watched my first video on the Runbow, the review of the H1, by the way, if I didn't say it before, the original one's called an H1, H like hotel. The second one's called an M1, M like Mike. So that's the difference in model numbers between the two. But if you didn't watch my review of the H1, then you might have not seen this. But what the RFinder app does is it uses the GPS in the device to tell which repeaters are closest to you, and you can look up 6-meter repeaters, 10-meter repeaters. You can look up all the way to like 3 gigahertz repeaters. There's not any of those around me. So I just set it to, I like to look at the 220 repeaters, so I keep 220 in the list. But other than that, since it's a monoband phone, there's not much point in doing more than UHF. So I just keep mine on UHF. But like I said, I have 220 in there just because I like to know what 220 I'm close to. So you go in here, I'm going to pick one of these repeaters. I click on the repeater. Let me zoom back in here. I'll click on the repeater. This is the N5EOC repeater. And I click Send to Radio right there. It powers up the radio, sends the information from the repeater to the radio, from the app to the radio to program the repeater as far as frequency, PL tone, offset, all that kind of good stuff. If the repeater has echo link, it will be a clickable link from inside the RFinder app. There it is right there. KC5, HWB testing. Yeah. And that's a fusion repeater, which means it has no courtesy tone. And they kind of sound like crud on their squelch tail. But, you know, that's another episode. So anyway, that's it right there. So if I go in here, I can go into the menu. Let me zoom back in again. Go into the menu. And it's got several options in the menu. The second option down is BM hotspot mode. So I'll go into Brandmeister, BM for Brandmeister. Go into BM hotspot mode right there. Program my receive and transmit frequency, my radio ID, my color code, my time slot, and my talk group. So I've actually got this program for my repeater right now, not my hotspot, but my repeater that's inside. Let's go to 3148. That's Texas. Send the parameters to that. So you can manually program, and you can do that for Simplex also. KC5 HWB, Texas statewide. Nobody was listening on analog. See if anybody's listening on DMR. But it's as easy as that. So you can go in, and if I had my repeater, I don't have my repeater added to RFinder, so if I had my repeater added to RFinder, I could go in and just click on it. It would auto-program everything for me. I don't have my repeater. My repeater's a portable repeater, so I don't have it added to RFinder at this point in time. Let's see. Let me go into my hotspot here and program my open spot free. So the only thing I'm going to change is my frequency. There's somebody on K5IMO on statewide right there. So he's calling for somebody else, but wait a minute, see if that guy answers. He didn't answer yet. K5IMO from KC5HWB statewide.
KG5HCL, K5IMO on statewide.
Let's see. Oh, that's why. I had programmed wrong. Send parameters.
C5HWB, C5HWB, and I'd actually statewide.
There's Greg. Okay. KA9SUU from KC5HWB. How's that, Greg? Yeah, can you hear me? I had one of the settings wrong, so I was hearing it, but I wasn't getting out.
I can. In the local area, we can go to Metro or local, if you wish.
Let's hop down to Metro. I can't get to local right now. I'm on an HT. I'm actually talking into my RFinder device, into my repeater. So let's go to Talk Group 2.
Talk Group 2. I'm not sure which one that is.
That's Metro. That is Metro. Instead of repeater for Talk Group 9, that Metro is Talk Group 2. So just go to Metro. KC5HWB. Problem with this Zello app is it keeps popping up.
Okay. Talk Group 2 sometimes has different meanings on different repeaters, but yeah.
Shouldn't.
My daughter's bringing my handy talkie up here so I can simulmonitor. K9SU, just like.
The problem with the Zello app is that it keeps popping up every time I hit the PTT. And I've gone into the Zello app and turned that off, saying don't open the app when you hit PTT. And it's not even the same PTT button, because I set that button for Zello and that button is set for RFinder. But the Zello app keeps popping up. KC5HWB on DFW Metro. So, anyway, that is that.
Hello, sir. How's the week been going for you?
Greg doesn't know he's on video right now. Oh, pretty good. Just doing mostly stuff around the house this week. I'm actually recording a video right now, so you're going to be on the air. Unless you tell me not to put it on there, I guess. I
don't mind at all.
No, I didn't think you would.
Just fine. Did you have a chance to sample that wonderful beverage?
Oh, yeah, I drank that first night. He gave me a stout beer from somewhere up north. I forget where. Chicago, I think. Chicago area. Yes, I did. I drank it that next night, I think it was. It was either that same night. It wasn't that same night. I think it was that next night. Very good. I wouldn't mind having a few more of those. Those were good. You said that's from, like, Chicago, right? He's from Chicago, so I think it's from Chicago.
No, it's
maybe not.
From Wisconsin. It's
Wisconsin.
A small brewery growing by leaps and bounds up in central Wisconsin. Central Waters is in Amherst Junction, which is near Stevens Point. And
okay, sounds good. Yep. No, yeah, we had 40 check-ins. 2 weeks ago, I think it was 39, so it was one shy of the 40 record. But I think it was the record was only 5 or 6 weeks ago, something like that. So Anyway, appreciate the QSO. Thanks for doing some testing. And I'll catch you here in a little bit. KC5 HWB on Metro will be monitoring. So that is DMR on the H1 device.
I'll have to catch the podcast to see what we're testing. 73.
You should be watching the podcast anyway, Greg. So that is the M1 device in use on DMR on a local repeater. Local as in 30 feet that direction. That's my portable repeater that I keep running here at the house. That is, it's just a Motorola XPR 8300. I've got the same repeater set up in Corsicana, Texas, and I've given some of the guys in San Angelo that same repeater. I've got 4 repeaters right now. One of them is sitting over here and not plugged in anything. One of them's in the house. One of them's in Corsicana, and the fourth one's about to be deployed in San Angelo. It's not up there yet, but it's going up there. So, anyway, hope to hear you on DMR. Found a really cool new group of DMR guys the other day, and called the Crossroads DMR group. So I joined that, traded some emails with one of the guys. I may switch one of my repeaters over there. They have a really cool theory on how to run a C bridge, and they've got access to Brandmeister. So more upcoming on that. Maybe get an interview with those folks too. So 73 guys, thanks for watching. This was not a long episode. I basically just wanted to show you the new M1 and also kind of compare it size-wise to the H1. Boom, there they are with the screens on once again. RFinder makes a fantastic device. Bob is working on, and we'll talk about this in the interview that's upcoming. He's got a tablet out, and I keep telling him to send me the tablet. Send me your tablet. I'm going to do a video, and then I'll send it back to you. He hasn't sent me his tablet yet. I'm not buying a tablet because I've already got one of these. But he will. He'll send it to me. I just got to keep bugging him about it. But another cool thing he has coming out is a 35-watt amplifier for this. Now you're thinking, why would you want 35 watts out of an HT? You don't. The amplifier's for your car. Okay, so you mount your amplifier in the car with an antenna coming, or with a coax coming out of the amp going up to an antenna on top of your car, and a second coax coming out of the other side, the input side on the amp, that plugs right in here. So when you get in your car, you put this in whatever mount you're getting. That's one bad thing about these radios, is that they're hard to put in a suction cup mount on your dash or something because of this belt clip and because they're so big. But get some kind of mount. Plug it in, drive down the road, go on a road trip. You've got your GPS working for you. It tells you which repeaters are close. You click on the repeater, auto-program your radio, key up, and you're on the air. 35 watts out. Really cool stuff. So hopefully I can talk Bob out of one of those amplifiers upcoming, and we can do some road trips with it. He's working on to get, at the same time he gets the amplifier, he wants to get an external mic for this. So for this and for the tablet, because who wants to talk into a tablet like this? But if you're going to go mobile with it, you're going to need an external mic. So he's working on an external mic for all the devices, and then you can put you could even put your tablet in the car with a 35 watt amp running, and just leave your tablet in the car and Wi-Fi it to your phone, and then you've got your tablet on there, and you can use your tablet to RFinder device and find your repeaters. Then you've got the big screen there, so that'd be really cool. So really cool stuff coming from RFinder, and most of it will be available this year. He said he's working on a dual band version of this device that will hopefully be available this year. So really cool stuff. Keep watching AndroidDMR.com. And of course, keep watching this website, hamradio2.com, for any types of reviews on upcoming devices from RFinder and from many other folks. 73 guys, thanks for watching.